Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we were away for a week, but we are back for this, the 6th round of the 2014 Season 3 Club UK and Ireland Skip Barber Championship from Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama. Will Vincent along with Jake Cameron here on RaceSpotTV as we get set to go racing in a little under 5 minutes time. Drivers are currently working themselves on the racetrack. We'll bring you up your provisional grid on the left hand side of your screen. Simon Holbert is currently the fastest driver on the racetrack right now. His qualifying time, well, that was a time of 1:37.287. And Jake, we know that this track can be very demanding for the drivers, but Holbert is leading right now. A couple of drivers are trying to get a bit faster. Graham Carroll in that second place right now is on a flying lap.
Yeah, some drivers are really now starting to get quicker. Carroll there just gone quicker on his previous lap. That is his quickest lap of the qualifying session so far. He came in with a 1:37.324, so a very quick lap from him as well. Still got a little way to come though. He's still got 0.04 of a second if he wants to get onto that pole position time. But very quick lap times coming in from all these guys up top. And just get this, there's only 0.02 of a second separating him and Sebastian Job. And I say that
Job goes to pole position.
Actually just goes to pole position.
He does indeed. So Sebastian Job, there you see him on your screen. Provisional pole position with 2 minutes 45 left on the play clock. And Job has been so dominant in certain tracks this season. He is just astounding in this car. Of course, we see him as well in the DW12. We see him as well occasionally flick himself into the Williams. Sebastian Job, when it comes to open wheel cars, he is just absolutely phenomenal, Jake.
Yeah, he is an absolutely incredible driver. And if I'm not that 100% sure, but he is actually a pro driver as well, supporting that black stripe on the top of that helmet.
Yeah, we'll get confirmation of that in just one moment's time as here comes Job down into this very difficult section. You come down the hill, Jake. There's a right, then a left, then a right. You almost kind of like straight line that left-right hander at the beginning of that sequence. Now you're into some very difficult chicane sections of the racetrack. First is a left and a right. You use a little bit of that curb, then you come into a very short straightaway before the next left and right. But that one got an elevation change, leading you into pretty much a 180-degree right-hander. Complies of 3 parts.
Yeah, it does comply of 3 parts. We're obviously at an American track, so they're going to name it 7A, 7B, 7C. You know, we've even got actually a 5D as he now actually comes into 14 and then 14A. Because we're American, we decide to name our bends letters and numbers because we are cool. But he now just wakes his way out of that final turn and then down this long home start straight, then into turn number 1 with an interesting turn number 2 and 3 carousel before we head down that long back straight into 5A, B and C.
Well, here's the interesting thing. Holbert is not currently classified on the racetrack. Neither is Carroll. So when Povey, there you see him on your screen, he's currently classified in the 4th position. He is on a lap right now. Right on board of him. And Povey's all over the grass there. That might actually invalidate his lap. Now, he's got 56 seconds left on the play clock. So for Povey, he has got one more opportunity. It's going to be close, but he might just make it back to the flag, Jake.
Yeah, he may just make it back to the flag. It's going to be very tight for him, though. As you say, just under a minute now left on the play clock as he now comes down into this 5A. Is that 5A? No, that's not 5A. That's actually 4. And then down onto the back straight. Now he's going to come into 5A if I'm in the right part of the track.
Indeed.
No, I'm still not on the right part of the track. This track confused me. He's actually in 14A. We'll get it right in the end.
Yep. Final left-hander there for Simon Povey. You see 20 seconds left on the play clock. That final left-hander is setting himself up potentially for one more lap. Now you have to give away a lap to get a lap here at Barber Motorsports Park. And Simon Povey comes past straight 1 minute 37.631 for him. So that keeps him currently in that 4th position on the racetrack as we'll flick back to our normal cameras. But Povey, he's got a lot of work to do on that final lap. He's going to improve because he is 4 tenths of a second behind Carroll, Holbert and Job, who are within literally 1/10 of a second of each other. Now those top, you have a look, those top 3 drivers mighty close on the grid. Then you have a look down at Richard Avery, Clive Armstrong and Wiseman Brennan. They are very closely separated on the racetrack right now. I'm having a look down the field as well. People like Williams and Matthews, they in the 12th and 13th position are incredibly close on the racetrack right now.
Yeah, they are very close right now. Literally everyone up in these positions, they're only separated by maybe 0.3 of a second, not even that, between some of these groups on the track. So if that's any times that we're going to take into the actual race, then it's going to be some great atmosphere for these drivers and some great real close racing in such a technical and difficult car to drive fast, because we've got to remember this is where all drivers in open wheel classes start out, and the Skip Barber is a challenging car to say the least.
So we've got ourselves then the F2000 Skip Barbers. The checkered flag is out. Clark Williams there has completed his laps. We've got Simon Povey still on the racetrack. We will ride on board with him as he works himself somewhere along the racetrack. This is down towards the final couple of corners. Simon Povey, can he improve on his 4th place in qualifying as he works himself now out of the final corner? His last lap at 1 minute 37.631. Currently sat in 4th place overall on the grid. Can he improve on that time? The answer to that question is going to be no, he can't. Simon Povey will start this race in the 4th position on the racetrack. We've got George Lambert just finishing a lap, and everyone has now completed their allocated lap. So what we'll do is we will run ourselves now down immediately to the starting grid for this event. And to run through your top 20 drivers, there you will see Sebastian Job on pole position there. The qualifying time of 1 minute 37.222. Our only pro driver in the field. Lining up alongside him on row number 1 will be Simon Holbert, just 65 1/1000th of a second behind him. Graham Carroll in row number 2. Alongside him will be Simon Povey. And then we'll head ourselves back down into row number 3. That'll be Richard Avery and George Lambert. Clive Armstrong and George Wiseman in row number 4 as it stands right now. And then in row number 5, Dominic Brennan and Brendan O'Brien. Row number 5 is Fahim Antonides and Clark Williams. And then row number 7 is Liam Matthews and Rich Jones. Row number 8, Mark O'Connell and Stuart Adcock. Then row number 9 is Robert Plumley and Alan Patterson. Bobby West and Murray A. Cooch runs out your top 10 rows. Rest of qualifying coming up on your screen. We've got Rachel here, we've got Jake here. Rachel, what are you looking forward to in this race here today? Unfortunately, we haven't got Rachel right now, so I'll ask the same question to you, Jake. What are you looking forward to in this race here today?
Really close up front, so to be separated by only 1/10 of a second throughout them guys at the top 3, it's going to be very interesting to see who can dominate from up there. But Also, Simon Povey all the way down to just 8th position. They're separated by not even 4 tenths, sorry, 2 tenths of a second on the raceway. So we're going to have some great battling going on for the top 10 positions in this one.
The cars are gridded here at Barber Motorsports Park. They will go racing here today, and for this race, I think it's going to be one of the most difficult races we will see all season long. Passing is going to be at minimum, but the lights goes out. This race will start right now. A very good jump there by Job as they come down in towards turn number 1 for the first time, but behind them you've got your cars all spread out 2-3 wide as they work themselves down through turn number 1 and then turn number 2 for the first time, Jake.
Yeah, everyone making it through that turn number 1 perfectly fine. They're through into this carousel now. Turn number 2, turn number 3, side-by-side racing going on there though between Clark Williams and Liam Matthews, that is, there in the middle of the field. It's brilliant side-by-side action now as they're just coming on the exit of 4. They're now going to come into 5.
Sorry, Holbert's going down the inside. He's got to go for the race lead there. We see it on our onboard cameras. Simon Holbert, he goes to the race lead, taking that position away from Job. They are 2 wide behind him as they work themselves down in towards the carousel for the first time. But Simon Holbert, what a start. What a couple of opening corners by him. He, in that number 44 car, is now your race leader. Sebastian Job is now down into 2nd place on the racetrack, Jake.
Yeah, Holbert now up into that race lead, but Job's not going to give that up easy. He's looking to the inside, and I've actually just heard a spinner in the back of my sound wheel. That's going to be on the exit of turn number 7. I have to get a replay of that on your screens. I think that's actually Murray Coots who's gone round. So very unfortunate for him if that is him in the stricken car. But back out in front though, Sebastian Job all over the back now of Holbert as they head down into turn number 12, up turn number 13, and then we'll head into 14, then 14A before we head to the last turn. And Job's not giving up easily, Will.
Indeed he isn't, and we're getting a look at Mario Cooch. You see at the rear of the field there, down at the 20th position on the racetrack. We did just miss a spin, but there you see him. Confirmation down in the 20th position on the racetrack. Not the start he would have wanted there.
3 wide there,
Mario
sorry
Cooch.
to interrupt you. We go 3 wide now down on the home straight. Job's in the middle, but Holbert seems to have the run on the outside. They could even go 3 wide again into turn number 1. That is Povey on the inside. No, Carroll actually on the inside, being very brave there. They're 3 wide still through turn number 1.
Car on the grass in contact! Contact there in turn number 2, and that would be between your 3rd and 4th place drivers. They will make it through okay. They're going to remain side by side, right on board with Richard Avery here, as you see a car going actually onto the grass around him. But here's Avery. He is battling for position right now with that number 44 car, and Richard Avery now will go into, running on board with Sebastian Job, as he actually now moves himself up 1 position on the racetrack, but he is still scored in P2 overall, really handling that pressure on that number 44 car. But intense racing down in turn number 1 and 2 on lap number 2 of this 15-lap event there, Jake.
Yeah, very intense racing, and Will, that has actually caused a casualty from this one, and we already see our first retirement. Simon Povey was running in 4th position. He came together with Graham Carroll, and that's going to be the end of Povey's race for this one. Very unfortunate for him. He had a brilliant last lap on the qualifying. Started P4th, but he's not going to be able to finish this race. Very unfortunate for him. But back out in front, though, Holbert is still coming under a lot of pressure from Job, but battling for that 3rd position, though, Richard Avery is still leading from Carroll.
Yeah, and we unfortunately can't get you the replay there of what happened to Simon Povey, but he is classified right now as out of the race. As we go back along with Sebastian Job, running himself right now in that 2nd position. This is your battle for the race lead. Simon Holbert and Sebastian Job, they pretty much nose to tail as they work themselves past the start finish line. We'll ride on board with Sebastian Job in that number 44 car once again, and there you see up to 110 miles an hour. Bit of a wiggle for him there, under braking down into turn number 1. And I think that Job's car was set up to work in clean air, but he's just not good at working for him. I'll see if we've got Rachel back here. Rachel, it does look as though that Job is riding on board with him. His car is set up for clean air. He's running wide down the exit of turn 2B as he works himself now down towards this hairpin. He looks as though he needs to get himself to clean air very quickly, otherwise he can be in some very big issues here today.
Absolutely, Will. That car's just, he's pushing it so hard, he just wants those extra few tenths to try and get that run on Simon Holbert, but it's just proving a little too much at this point, I think.
As we stay with that battle for the race lead, just behind them, the 3 and the 3rd and the 17 car, Richard Avery's, will see you there, down to the inside as they come down into the chicane. Now, this is actually a very scary place to try and pass a race car, but Richard Avery moving himself back up into 3rd place on the racetrack. A good pass there to get himself up into that P3 car, passing the number 3 car right now of Graham Carroll on the racetrack there, Jake.
Yeah, it was very good. Coming through them tricky 7A, 7B bends, you've got to be very, very wise to go through there, as he actually is now making a move to the inside of Richard Avery. That's through turn number 13.
Ooh.
He's going to get that done, then he cuts back to the inside. Great move there from Carroll. Carroll will now move up into the 3rd position. He's currently sitting on that last spot on the podium, but I don't think Avery's going to give up that soon as they now come into turn number 14. But George Lambert all over the back of Avery as well, so whether he's got a little bit of damage on that car, but he's going to be dropping back through the field as he's got Clive Armstrong, Wiseman and Brennan, and also Adcock there waiting to make a pounce if he makes a mistake.
Oh!
Adcock goes off into the wall on the exit of turn number 15. That's going to see the retirement of his race, surely will.
Yeah, it will. Stuart Adcock there, he had an issue. He's falling down our timing and scoring. He will be classified as out of the race. Let's get ourselves a replay of that. And Rachel, this track, that final couple of corners, you're going right pretty much for about 3 corners in a row. Then that final left-hander for Adcock. You're right along board with him now. It just looks as though he got himself into a bit of a mess. And Adcock at that final corner just lost it there on the outside grass, spearing it into that inside tyre wall.
Absolutely, that's that one thing here. This car, one wheel on the grass, it's all over.
We'll get ourselves one more replay of that from Stuart Adcock. This is from the outside camera. You see working himself down into the final couple of corners in that melee of drivers just ahead of him. Great scraps going on at the rear of the top 10. Adcock just catching the grass, catching the tyre wall, and he is classified as out of the race. And Jake, you don't want to be out of the race early here because, of course, attrition at Barber is historically high. And the one thing you don't want to do is lose that race early on, because even if you're out, you don't want to be out early, because points mean everything in this series.
What do you normally say, Will? It's normally points mean prizes, and that's something he's not going to be getting today. Is a nice prize for coming home in one of them top 5 positions. Very unfortunate for him. He just got it terribly wrong in the exit turn number 15, and that ended his race early on, only on lap number 3 as well. And this is a 15-lap race, and we've seen longer races in the IndyCar, and we've only ended up finishing with about 5 cars out of about 25. So hopefully it doesn't end up as bad as that, but nutrition is a real big factor around here as we just still watch this battle here going on for 3rd. Graham Carroll seems to have pulled out of a bit of a gap over Avery, Lambert, Armstrong and Wiseman, but Brennan's still hanging on to the back of that pack. He's not letting anyone get away.
Yeah,
there, guys. We've got a nice recovery coming on from the number 8 car, Fahim Antonides. He was one of the early spinners we had, the number 8 car, and as we just see, I think that's Brendan O'Brien spinning in front of him, but Fahim's on a charge back through the field. He could be one to watch.
Yeah, and then we see position between O'Brien and Patterson is 3.2 seconds on the racetrack. However, O'Brien did indeed have a spin, and there you see Fahim Antonides. We'll have a look from his car as we ride on board of him now, running himself in the 15th position on the racetrack. Got a lot of traffic ahead of him. Rich Jones and Robert Plumley and Mark O'Connell all there as they come down into the chicane once again. Now, we have seen some guys make some big moves into the chicane already, Jake, but as these laps wear down, we're now 1/3 distance into this event. It's going to become more difficult to try and make it past. You're relying now more on drivers around you to make a mistake on the racetrack for you to get that track position.
Yeah, you are really relying on drivers to make a mistake, and make a mistake is what Holbert's just done, and now Sebastian Jobs trying to go around the outside of him in turn number 14. Not going to be able to get that job. He will have the inside line into 15. No, he's not going to make it move there. Holbert, though, running very wide through turn number 13. So that's going to be one of them mistakes that could cost him crucially. And these drivers seem to be slowing up a bit because Carroll seems to be closing that gap each lap. So maybe them two up front are feeling the pressure racing with each other, and maybe they're pressuring each other into silly little moves like we saw Lewis Hamilton on Nico Rosberg yesterday.
Indeed, sir, and of course, for those of you who did miss that race, Lewis Hamilton was able to capitalise on a huge mistake there by Nico Rosberg to get himself victory in the Italian Grand Prix. But here is your battle right now between your top 2 drivers in this, the iRacing.com Club UK and Ireland Championship. And down to the inside goes Sebastian Job, not quite close enough to make that passing corner entry, but will be side by side as they work themselves through corner exit. We're right along board with Sebastian Job. There you can see on the right hand side of your screen is that number 44 car. Simon Holbert, Sebastian Job not quite close enough to make that pass, and Rachel, for Job, he's got to preserve his tyres now for the next couple of laps. If he can't make that pass, he's got to preserve his tyres and hope he has something to play with at the end of this race.
That is absolutely true. Well, his pushing as hard as he is, in fact the pair of them, both in Holbert's taking defensive lines, Job's taking attacking lines, the pair of them are starting to wear out their tyres. Unless they actually back off and actually start realising what this is about, it's a long race. Carroll and Avery are going to be all over them.
And there we see P1, P2, just 2/10 of a second on the racetrack. It's a little bit sideways there for Holbert. That opens the doors just slightly for Sebastian Job there. He'll run that outside line again as they work themselves through turn 14A, 14B, one more time. As we ride back along board now with Sebastian Job as they come past the start-finish line. What a great battle we have for you over a race lead here. Sebastian Job over Simon Holbert. Battle for P1, P2 on the racetrack. But again, Holbert able to hang on for another lap as we now work ourselves on lap number 7 of 15 here, Jake.
Yeah, now working our way just halfway through this as Sebastian Job actually gets a little looser, but he managed to correct very well, and it's all over the back straight again onto Holbert on the exit of turn number 3 as they now come down into turn number 4. Then they'll come down in that tricky 5A, 5B and C as he actually moves to the inside. That's a block there pulled off by Holbert. Job had to make evasive action there, if not he'd have run into the back, and he's trying to go around the outside. Will he be able to get the cutback done? No, he won't. He's going to
he'll have the inside. He'll have the inside line to the next corner. That's the important thing there for Sebastian Job. He'll now have the inside line into this difficult chicane. So there you see Sebastian Job on your screen. He should just get the leapfrog as they come down into the chicane. Sebastian Job is your new race leader here, and Job almost getting run over from the rear there by Simon Holbert, but they will now reverse their position. Sebastian Job is your race leader here at Barber Motorsports Park. It is Simon Holbert now classified in the second position on the racetrack. And also there, Rachel, you see the gap on your screen between P1 and P3. You talked about it earlier. 1.5 seconds on the racetrack. If these two continue to go head to head, Graham Carroll in that third position, Richard Avery in fourth, they could well come back into the mix here.
So true, so true. Well, third and fourth place, they're currently not as far up the racetrack, but they're pretty close together. I think in the closing laps of this race, it's going to be a four-way fight.
Riding aboard with Richard Avery to complete 7 laps out of 15 here at Barber Motorsports Park. Now, this is a track, actually, Jake, designed for motorcycles more than open wheel cars. Of course, what was the ISO IndyCar Series, now the Verizon IndyCar Series, has run here since 2011. But 2010 actually, but at the same time this is a motorcycle track. These cars are so small, however, that you don't think about these cars the same way that you see the Verizon IndyCar Series drivers running here, because you can pass here a lot more than you can when you get into these bigger, beefier, more horsepower open-wheeled cars.
Yeah, these cars are definitely easier to make a move and position on there, as we saw Sebastian Job making brilliant car positioning on that last lap. Brilliant to just position his car right to the outside, whereas in an Indy car you wouldn't be able to get too wide coming down into turn number 5, especially on the outside. Due to that bend, it just closes you in the middle of turn 5, and then you got that 5C on the exit where the bend just seems to come together and it suddenly widens out onto the straight again. But Job did a very good job there to position that car and hold it onto the outside, and I just realised how much of a knob I sound by saying Job.
I'm riding on board with the number 14 car, Brendan O'Brien, right now. And he is in a bit of a sandwich with Fahim Atanides, who's been able to move up a couple of positions, Rachel, now up into the 13th position. But they got this train from about P11 all the way down to about P16 on the racetrack as we continue to ride along board with Brendan O'Brien. And this pack is very interesting. And it's a situation right now for these guys. One wrong move and they're going to put themselves out of contention to get themselves into a top 10. As here comes Fahim looking down the outside right now as we come down to that first of 2 very fast chicanes. Second of the 2 chicanes, actually.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just going to see one of the cars there, a pink car. I believe that's Robert Plumley making a mistake. But this pack with a large number of cars, if anyone makes a mistake here, it's not just going to be them that's going to be out of the race. There's a good chance they'll take out a competitor as well. So, bit of action in the midfield.
Great fight going on up front here though, Will. We've just missed it there into turn number 1. Simon Holbert's actually managed to get around Job, but Job holds the inside. It will now be on the outside through down into the run into turn number 5, and this is allowed Carroll now and Avery. They're right on the back of them, 0.5 seconds separating them, and Job's on the outside through 5B and 5C. Will he be able to make that move down into number 7 again? No, he's not. He's going to tuck in behind, but this fight is really hotting up at the front. We'll have to get a replay of that pass for you on your screens.
Yeah, we're going to get that replay. We won't get it just yet because you can see from your rear camera, Sebastian Job was looking mighty close now. Now we'll go to replay. Let's see whether we can pick it up here, because this is Simon Holbert over Sebastian Job. We need to go back on our screen just a little bit here. So just stick with us for one moment. This is what happened then. The battle for the race lead. Simon Hulbert and Sebastian Job. Simon Hulbert there is running now in that first position, but you can see him in that number 15 car over the number 44 machine of Sebastian Job. And these two have been riding very close together all race long. And Job losing that position there. Simon Hulbert was able to take that inside line down into turns 14A, 14B, and then turn 15. And these two have been fighting so hard. But as we said earlier, Jake, now you've got P3 and 4 right there within 1 second on the racetrack.
Yeah, P3 and 4, and Carroll actually just tried making a move on Job around the outside of turn number 14 and 14A, and that allowed Richard Avery actually to try and make a move into 15, but he backed out of that one sensibly. If not, that would have ended their races, as it was a very tight maneuver. It would have been into that turn, and if these 4 up front keep battling, Will, I think we could actually see Lambert, Brennan and Wiseman even close into them. That's that trailing pack all fighting for the 5th position. There's 3 cars there, so we've got 4 up front, 3 fighting for 5th, and then the rest of the pack all together. What a race we've got on our hands, as we just got 5 laps to go this time by.
Indeed, sir. We do apologise, ladies and gentlemen, for the lack of our ticker here on RaceSpotTV. We have fixed it behind the scenes, and now it's now working again. But we're running aboard with Richard Avery as they work themselves once again down into that section of the racetrack. But Avery has had himself a very interesting race here today. Now running himself in that 4th position on the racetrack. There you see P1, P2, P3, P4. Avery at the rear of that train. Having looked down the field as well, you have still got George Wiseman having a good battle, Rachel, with Dominic Brennan on the racetrack as we ride on board right now with George Wiseman in that P7 position. Now, you've got Dominic Brennan ahead of him and just George Lambert ahead of him as well. This is a great battle for P5 through 7 on the racetrack.
Absolutely, these guys are giving it absolutely as much as the guys up front, and it's great to see this fighting throughout the pack here. Lambert, though, just got a little bit more than the other two, I think. Although I don't think it'll be too long before we see Wiseman maybe take a move on Brennan.
Yeah, and Wiseman's looking actually to the outside as they come down into turn number 14, running on board with George Wiseman for the time being. We'll flick it back to our normal coverage, but there you see Wiseman running himself in that 7th position on the racetrack, and these 3 guys are very closely separated, Jake, on the racetrack, battling for P5, 6 and 7 on the racetrack. They have got a good gap to P8, but this battle for the race lead. Look at this now, with just 5 laps to go. You've got P1 through P4 on the racetrack separated, Jake, but get this, 1 second on the racetrack. Astounding.
Absolutely is credible as Sebastian Job tries to make a move there into the inside of Hulbert, but he's not having that. He was holding that inside line, and Job, we've seen this many a times from him. He's trying to go around the outside on the exit of turn number 5, but he's not being able to get it done. And he'll look for the cut back there as they now come through 6, and he's not getting that done. And he's actually just touched the back of Hulbert there, I think. It looked like he got a little sway on. Maybe he did just touch him, or he swerved to avoid from the contact as they now come too wide down into turn number 7 through that horrible little chicane. And this is actually allowing Avery to get a good move onto Carroll, because he's been held up by Job's moves.
Yeah, we're going to ride on board as we speak right now with Graham Carroll. As you see there, Job running very wide. That's going to allow Carroll the opportunity to try and get the pass done. Not quite close enough. Job is riding very hard right now, Rachel, and Carroll almost took advantage of that to move himself up into P2 in this race. Now, I've got a feeling that Job, this is going to be a hero zero moment. If he can get himself past Hulbert, he will win the race. Otherwise, he's probably going to wreck his car trying to do so.
Absolutely. It's only a short race, but these guys are really wearing out their tyres up front. They've already let the rear pack close up, places 3 and 4. It's either, yeah, you say it's either going to be a mistake or it's going to be a win for the Job.
As we continue to ride on board with Graham Carroll there's come down into turn number 1. But Jake, what a great battle we have here. Not only P3 and P4, but P1 all the way through P4. It's just absolutely astounding right now on the racetrack. Because there you see them, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you see your second pack just there in the distance, and here comes Job again, down to the outside as they work themselves down into the hairpin one more time, and you can see Job coming down to the outside. Will he get that job done? The answer is going to be no, he won't. But Sebastian Job, he's almost going to make contact actually there. There you see with Graham Carroll in the battle for P3 position on the racetrack now. Now Job's going to be very lucky that he has the inside line down into chicane. That's why he made that pass earlier on in this race over Hulbert, but now Sebastian Job gets a better run out of the chicane, and you can see that Hulbert very loose, almost sliding that car through the corner. This is going to allow Job another opportunity here all over the rear wing. But what a great battle now. You see the first first pack, and we'll just actually flick into the second pack as well. What a battle we have going on our racetrack right now.
Yeah, we have two little races developing on this, and it's absolutely incredible to watch. And Sebastian Job was very lucky there on the turn number 5 that he actually gets up the inside through turn number 13. Does he make contact? Yes, he does. There's big contact there. Job actually gets right into the back of Holbert. Holbert's now got rear wing damage. They come around turn number 14. Carroll's up the inside of Job. He's trying to make the move. Job's on the outside, though. Will he go around the outside of Holbert? Yes,
they're three wide.
3 wide down turn number 1. Holbert, though, gets very loose. He's still got that weird wing damage, though, from where Sebastian Job just hit him into the back. But Job will lead the way on that last lap, so that will be 13 laps done. And Carroll goes up the inside, gets very loose. Will, this is incredible racing out front.
This is amazing racing right now. So right on board with Graham Carroll. We will get a replay in just one moment's time as Carroll side by side. He went up the outside line to the next corner. They're going to be 3 wide. Again, Avery pushed all the way out onto the grass there, Rachel. Side by side as they come down into the hairpin. But it does look as though it's going to be this guy, Graham Carroll, who's going to move himself up into the overall race lead of this race by our timing and scoring.
Yes,
this is absolutely incredible, Will. This is amazing. Carroll wasn't up there, but now he's in the lead. He might even win this one. You said Job would be hero 0. He went for it. He made the mistake. They were 3 wide. They were 2 wide. There was contact. This is incredible, guys.
And Jake, give us an update on what happens to Sebastian Job, because right now he is side by side once again with that number 44 car.
Yeah, coming on to turn number 13, he moved up to the inside, he took the curb, and that's where he collided with Holbert, and fortunately I gave Holbert a bit of rear wing damage, and then Job have actually just gave him that position back and did drop back to start fighting. As we actually say that now, this has now brought Lambert, Brennan and Wiseman into this, as Holbert's now being all attacked by Lambert, and that's into turn number 12 there. They'll come into turn number 13, and Lambert's really got a chance of getting on the podium now, as Avery and Carroll actually pull away from Job and Holbert, I think that is there still, yes.
We're going to get ourselves a replay of what we saw just a couple of moments ago with Sebastian Job. This is the battle for the overall race lead. Look at that. 2 3 wide on the racetrack as they work themselves to the final corner of the racetrack. Sebastian Job loses himself a position, but then he'll go around the outside of that final corner. Rachel, I don't think I've seen the pass that strong in a long while in Skip Barber Racing.
That is certainly true, Will. That guy put everything into that move. He knew he was either going to complete it or he was going to wreck his car trying. That was racing.
And that was Sebastian Job, because he is now classified in the 3rd place on the racetrack. But Jake, we've got ourselves now, what, essentially a 6-car pack towards the end of this event. And this could be anyone's, and I mean literally anyone's game now.
Yeah, we're now just on lap number 14, so it'll be the white flag when Carroll or Avery cross the line next time by. It will have to be a close decision. It's down to one of these two now. I think Job's out of contention. He's now sitting a second back, but he's coming every single bend. He's closing right onto the back of these two. I think that gap could even be down to 0.7 seconds on the raceway now, so he could have a last-minute fight on his hands if he can actually close up to these guys. But now Lambert, Brennan, Wiseman, Holbert, they're all out of contention for this one. They're all going to have to settle for that 4th, 5th and 6th position fight. But Carroll out in front still leads the way as they now come into turn number 3. Nearly ready to take that white flag.
Yeah, and Rachel, the important thing is Graham Carroll has got a little bit of front wing damage. Richard Avery is just 0.4 of a second behind. And we're working themselves out of corner number 14B down into turn number 15. The white flag will be out this time by. Carroll has some damage. Can Avery steal this?
I think the only person in this front pack who has a reasonable chance is Richard Avery. His car's not damaged, he's been in a good position, tyres are probably better. I think he's the one my money's on, guys.
The white flag is out, just one more lap to go. You will have a look from the rear of Richard Avery's car. There you can see it. The battle with Sebastian Job in that 3rd position. For Job to get 2 places in 1 lap at Barber Motorsports Park is going to be difficult, Jake.
Difficult, Will? Difficult? More like impossible. I've never seen anyone manage to do 2 places unless it's actually been a big lot of pack racing where something has gone wrong. So Job's going to have a big lot of work to do, as he's actually now right on the back of Avery as they now come out of turn number 5C. They'll come down this straight. This is Sebastian Job's favourite passing overtaken position, but I don't think he's going to be close enough as they come down into turn number 7. Nor is Avery going to be close enough onto the back of Carroll, unless he wants to leave that late braking, and he actually nearly runs into the back of Carroll there, Will.
He does indeed, and we've got ourselves less than half a lap to go here in this, the Club UK and Ireland Skip Barber Racing School Championship. There you see your top 3 cars as they work themselves down into turn number 9 for the final time in this event. Mighty close racing, but it looks as though unless Graham Carroll makes a mistake, he's going to be able to hold on. Here they come down into the final chicane for the final time. Now it's just going to be three-way handers, and Sebastian Job is down to the inside as they come down. The outside even, it'll be for the next corner, and we'll see right on board here with Sebastian Job. He is going 0 on 0. Sebastian Job down into the final corner. He won't be able to get that job done here. It will actually be Graham Carroll coming up himself out of the final corner. He will take victory here at Barber Motorsports Park. What a victory there, Rachel, by this guy here, Graham Carroll, taking overall victory in what has been an absolutely crazy race.
Spectacular finish there from Graham Carroll, guys. Consistent, he had some wing damage and he managed to hold them off. He drove an incredible race.
Richard Avery will come home in your second position. There is confirmation of him. Richard Avery coming home in P2. Sebastian Job will come home in P3, but George Lambert comes home in P4. And then you see Dominic Brennan coming home in the 5th spot as well. Great drive by him. And overall, these top 7 cars have just been absolutely phenomenal here today, Jake.
Yeah, absolutely cracking racing from them. I said we're going to have a race on a hands wheel throughout that top 8 field, and that's what we had straight from the off. We lost Simon Povey early on, though, very unfortunate. And then we lost Stuart Adcock as well, and then that's just really where Clark Williams, Brennan and Wiseman all came into that battle, and great finish there. And it was even 2 wide, 3 wide coming over the line with Holbert Williams there.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back in just one moment's time with final race results and interviews here from Barber Motorsports Park. You're watching a RaceSpotTV presentation of the Club UK and Ireland Skip Barber Racing School Premier Series from Barber Motorsports Park. We'll be right back.
We will.
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 of Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93-39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's the race for the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go.
Oh,
As you love it.
here we go.
You love it. The 0-1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big jump.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget the next round of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com will take place tomorrow night. 200 laps around Richmond International Raceway. That'll be live on PSR TV and MRN, the Motor Racing Network, and of course on iRacing Live. Next time the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series will be on air, well, it'll be this coming Saturday, September 13th. Coverage will start at 2 PM GMT, as we'll bring you qualifying and the entire race itself on RaceSpotTV and also on iRacing Live. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, as well, the 4th annual ISOWC Indianapolis 500 will be coming your way on September 21st. We'll talk about that in just a couple of moments' time, but before we do that, we'll run through your final race results here from Barber Motorsports Park. Graham Carroll taking victory there by 0.5 of a second over Richard Avery. Sebastian Job in the 3rd position. George Lambert in 4th. Dominic Brennan rounds out your top 5. Then the rest of your top 10 is going to be George Wiseman, Simon Holbert, Clark Williams, Liam Matthews, and Clive Armstrong. And overall, Jake, it has been a very entertaining race here today.
Absolutely brilliant racing from these guys from the UK&I Club. There's been some astonishing passes. Sebastian Job ran the outside on turn number 5, also into turn number 7. You don't generally see someone dive it right up to the inside, and he did that, and he stuck his neck on the line, and it was all or nothing for him, and today he managed to just get that last stop on the podium. So congratulations to him to getting that one. But Graham Carroll drove an outstanding race there, just sat back right until the end, and that's when he needed to pounce, and that's what he did. Great racing from him, and congratulations to Avery for the last spot on there as well.
Raheem Mastanides comes home in 11th, Brendan O'Brien in 12th, Bobby Rest in 13th, Alan Patterson in 14th, then Mark O'Connell, Rich Jones, Robert Plumney, Murray A. Coote, Neil Goodacre even, and Stuart Adcock rounds out your top 20. Now, Rachel, Stuart Adcock disappointing there at the end of the top 20. Only a couple of retirees in this race as well. Very low attrition for a track that we normally see a number of retirees.
That is absolutely true. It's one of those tracks that will really punish you if you make a mistake, and we saw a few mistakes made during this race. Stuart Adcock was one of them. We saw a couple of moves, especially from Sebastian Job up front, who nearly did the same thing himself, but just managed to hold on to it, and certainly made for an interesting race, guys.
It made for an incredibly interesting race, but of course, for some of these drivers, they have got to come back next week and do it all over again. And this championship is shaping up to be a great one, particularly when you put the likes of Sebastian Job in this mix, because there's been so many people winning races in the Club UK&I Championship. Sebastian Job has had some very many good races, Rachel, but when he's not winning, it's almost as if he's under intense pressure to even stay on the podium.
That's what we definitely saw today. When he was behind Hulbert, he was doing everything in his power to try and get onto his bumper, trying to get onto that gearbox to car in front of him, and I think it hurt the pair of them. It slowed them both down. Hulbert was having to defend, Job was on attack, and it hurt them, and it allowed Avery, and it allowed Carroll to catch up with them, and we saw the end of the race. So perhaps not the best decision there from Job.
But you have to say, though, Jake, nothing you can take away from Graham Carroll, because he won this race, and he worked to win this race. Yes, he took advantage of the situation between Lambert and Job, but still, in close racing like this, on a track which is typically close when it comes to the line anyway, Carroll got the job done.
But Will, is that not what all good drivers do? Take advantage of the situation? Is that not what Senna did? Prost? Is that not what all the top drivers did? They took advantage of the situation.
We were talking about it earlier in this broadcast. It was exactly what Hamilton did over Rosberg just a couple of days ago.
It is what all the good drivers do. They take advantage of the situation, and that is what he did. He just sat back, he used his racecraft, and just leapt his way through when there was a mistake made by the drivers in front. So great racecraft from him, and great racing.
There's your top 10 on the screen one more time. And we'll talk about great races, great drivers. Of course, Gregor Hutu, Jake, comes into Suzuka in the Arizona.com World Championship Grand Prix Series with the potential to take a 4th championship. Martin Kroenke, Oli Picala are still charging hard. Of course, Kroenke and Picala have won the last 2 races of this series, but still, anything can happen with 3 rounds to go. And Hutu does look as though he is a dead cert to become a 4-time champion now.
Yeah, he's going to be that 4-time world champion. Unfortunately, I won't be here this weekend to see it. I want to see it, but I may have to tune in on my phone at the weekend and listen to you, Will. But it's going to be an incredible race. But I can say Hutu has got that championship pretty much summed up. The only way he's not going to is if he has the DNF throughout the rest of the season, because Kroenke sitting 101 points behind Hutu is going to have a lot of work to do, and I don't really think Kroenke is going to have that, especially not with his new team. He's not got the people behind him anymore like he did at the 3ID Motorsports, so not going to really see him get any further. But it'd be nice to see Oli Picala up on that top second step of the podium, actually, first season in the WCS, so it'll be interesting to see what him and his teammate of Alessia Uciacola in them Glacier Racing cars can do.
Don't forget as well, of course, we're bringing you every Friday night coverage of the iRacing.com IndyCar Road Course Championship. But Rachel, So many people now have stopped thinking about the road course. They're thinking about one thing and one thing only. It is the 4th annual ISOWC Indianapolis 500 here on RaceSpotTV. Qualifying takes place this weekend, and qualifying at Indianapolis, it seems easy when you're looking at it from far away. It's through 16 corners, you're going fast, turn left. Put it into perspective, it's a lot more difficult.
That is so true. It's 4 corners per lap, 16 corners for the qualifying stint. It's going to be tough because you have to be perfect on every single one. Someone makes a mistake in one of those corners, it ruins the next 3. So we shall see the cream of the crop rise to the top at Indianapolis.
And Jake, as well, the ISOWC IndyCar Series, it's billed as the most realistic IndyCar Series in all of sim racing. You come to Indianapolis and you get 3 attempts on pole day, 3 attempts on bump day. So that's a total of just 6 runs over the weekend. But there are people who are practicing 1,000, 2,000 laps in advance. There are people who are shaking come happy hour on bump day. And of course, RaceSpotTV are bringing you parts of both pole day and bump day for the first time ever on RaceSpotTV.
Yeah, it's people want to win that more than I'd say than the official iRacing series. People that race the IndyCar series have been racing 16th Street, they've been racing ISOWC, you know, they've been racing all them leagues, and to me I think they mean more because they have more respect in them than what they do in the actual public racing, because you know you're racing against the best of the best. And that's what ISOWC and other leagues like 16th Street bring out, so I'm sure they're going to be gunning really hard, and it's going to be one exciting time to bring the pole day and bump day to them live, and I'm sure we can provide some entertaining action, Will, as we know it's going to be very tight up the top as it was for the iRacing 500, so it'll be interesting to see if maybe only 1,000th of a second could separate the 2 top guys again.
And we have got a couple of drivers from Club UK and Ireland. We'd like to wish them the very best of luck. We've got Ellis Stevens and Andrew Tant already signed up to try and make it into the field for the 4th annual ISOWC Indianapolis 500. You'll see qualifying this Saturday and Sunday here on RaceSpotTV. However, it is now time for us to say goodbye here on RaceSpotTV. It's been a fun day here at Barber Motorsports Park, but it has been one driver and one driver only taking victory. That has been this guy, Graham Carroll, finally able to get himself a victory in the Club UK and Ireland Skip Barber Championship. We'll be back, same time, same place, in 1 week's time as we bring you continued coverage of this series. This has been a RaceSpotTV presentation of the Club UK and Ireland Skip Barber Championship from Barber Motorsports Park. For myself, Will Vincent, Rachel and Jake, we'll talk to you all next time. Bye-bye.